Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the session. Today's session will be about aerospace engineering. I am Divya Jyoti and I am a consultant at Tensors, which is an NGO run by the students of IITM. The speaker for today's session is Ms. Krishna Manoj, who is an IITM alumnus and holds a PhD from MIT. So let's start the session. Over to Krishna, ma'am.
Hi, am I audible? Somebody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you are audible.
Awesome. Awesome. So, whatever I want to say today I'll just give you an overview of what I'm going to be saying. So, first, I'll give an intro about me and why I can possibly talk to you all about all what I'm going to talk to you today. Second, I'll tell you about where all my other batchmates are. So, you'll get a rough idea about where you can expect yourself to be after you finish your uh, Btec or dual degree. And I can give you an overview of the general course structure and how Aero Courses are, Aero Profs are, and a slight view of what you can do after IITM. All right. So, about me, I'm Krishna. As she said, I did my dual degree in aerospace engineering at IITM. I started off being a Btec, and in my third year, I converted to the dual degree program from there. I'm originally from Calicut, Kerala, just in case anyone is interested, and I am from the 2020 graduate batch. So I graduated last year. I was part of the department placement team, so I know a little bit about how placements are in the aero department and generally both core and non-core placements. I really wanted to go for research. As you can see, I'm a PhD student now. So I joined the Sujit's research lab back in IIT, published around 6 papers during my undergrad, and went to a lot of international and national conferences during my undergrad. And that's it about me. So, currently I'm doing my PhD in MIT in mechanical engineering. So, just like me, there's a lot of other students from my batch who went for higher studies, a lot of them in MIT, in Purdue, in other universities in US, Canada, and Europe. So there's a lot of all of them not necessarily in Aero, because I am right now in Meki. There are people who went for MBA and stuff in IIM and a lot of other universities. There are people who went for placements in core and non-core companies. Core companies would include Airbus, Honeywell, MathWorks, Boeing, etc. And non-core companies, I have friends who got into Microsoft, McKinsey, and a lot of other other companies. All right. So just before you choose your department, there's just a few things you need to know. The department is not necessarily a huge factor in deciding where you will be after your bachelor's or dual degree. The reason why I'm saying this is because of the course structure in IIT. So I'll just give you a general overview of the course structure. I'm pretty sure you might already know this, but I'll just do a quick run of the course structure. So in your first year, you would be looking at just common courses. So every student in every department will be taking all these courses. These courses will include physics, chemistry, applied mechanics, thermodynamics, computer science, and a few courses like that. It's like very common. And this is because after your first year or after your first semester, if you are in the top 3 in your department, you have an option of taking a branch change and going to a different branch. And so because they want to keep a level play field, they make sure, all the courses you take will be common in your first year. Now, after your first year, that's during your second and half of your third year, is when your choice of department makes a huge impact. Because that is when you'll have your core courses or professional courses. These courses are defined by the department you chose right now. So, different departments have different courses. I'll cover the Aero courses in the next session. I'll just finish all this general course structure and then go to the Aero courses in a few minutes. So after your core courses, you would have in your third year, fourth year, or even in your fifth year, you will have very less number of core courses, maybe like one per semester or something. And the rest of it is electives. So this electives is completely up to you. You can choose which department you want to take those courses in. If you don't want to take it in Aero, you can take it in other departments. You can take whichever course you want. I've taken a lot of HS courses even. So HS is humanities, just in case people don't know. So you can take whichever courses you want in your electives. So these electives are the ones which decide where you would be after your undergrad. So if you take a lot of Aero courses or Aero electives, that would mean that you have a higher chance of going for higher studies in Aero, because they will look at all the different courses you took and they can see that you have taken a lot of Aero courses. If you want to go for placements or sit for core placements or non-core placements, you will want to go take different courses in data science, consultancy, all these management courses in the management department, courses like that, so that you have a higher chance of getting there. So these electives are the ones which are going to decide where you would be after your undergrad. And so your choice right now, so you have about till your third year to decide what you want to do after. So it's not necessary you have to decide right now that, maybe I'll want to go for research later, so I have to do this. You have until your third year to decide that. So right now, the decision of your department is only going to look at the core courses which you'll have to take. Because after all, if you want all these different options, you have to maintain your CGPA, or your grade should be pretty high. S, A, B, even C is okay. You shouldn't basically you shouldn't flunk the courses, because if you want all these options to be pretty good for you. So when you choose the department, you should look at the core courses in their curriculum. And if you will be interested in taking or pursuing these core courses, because more often than not, students are sort of dreading choosing the department because of these core courses and because they do not want to study those courses. So you can find the core courses for any department in the curriculum provided by the department website. So even in the Aero department website, you can just search for Aero curriculum IIT Madras, and you can see the PDF which shows in your first year you're supposed to take this courses. In your second year, you're supposed to take this courses. So every department will have their own separate curriculums, and you can see the different courses which the department asks you to take in your first to third year, or first to half of your third year, fifth semester. Okay, so now regarding Aero courses. So in the Aerospace department in IIT Madras, it's the Aerospace department can be like broadly classified into 4 categories. So the first category would be structures. So if you think of an aeroplane, you know that aeroplane has different parts. The wings, there is the tail, there is the body. So designing all these structurally is what is included in the structures section. So you look at different materials, steel, aluminum, carbon fiber, which has different strengths. You look at how much area you need, things like that. All those things are covered in the structures part. The next part will be aerodynamics. Aerodynamics looks at how the air flows around you or around any particular object. So if you have an airplane, you'll have airflow around the wings. If you have a cylinder, you'll have airflow there. And aerodynamics is not just air, it's any fluid. So it can also include, the flow of water around a submarine or things like that. all these streamline flows, everything will come in that uh, subject. The third subject is propulsion. Propulsion, okay, as the name suggests, it's more or less like rocket science or the engine related stuff. You know, how you have fuel, you have air, how they burn and probably give you the thrust or whatever you require to go. Uh, and the fourth things is the controls part. So basically, if you have a satellite or if you have an airplane, you need to control stuff. You know how the rudder at the back decides if you are going to go left or right, or if you want to turn the airplane or things like that. So the controls part is the fourth section. So all your courses will be to give you your core courses will be to give you a small intro to all these four different sections of aerospace. So you'll have courses like fluid mechanics, aerodynamics, propulsion 1, propulsion 2, flight mechanics for the controls part, and you'll have structures 1 and structures 2 for the structures section. One thing which I really like about Aero courses are a few things which I really like about the Aero courses are one, every course will have a designated textbook. So it's not like there are lots of other courses which doesn't have one particular textbook. You'll have to have like 5 or 6 textbooks. You have to look at through all those 5 or 6 to study the course. In Aero courses, you'll have one particular textbook for every course. And the textbook will be specified to you before the class by the professor during the first day of class, so that you can, borrow it from the library or get an e-copy or whatever you want. So every Aero course, each course will have one textbook, so that's very easy to study. Secondly, the teachers are really awesome. So they actually teach you very well. They know a lot, and they make sure, because the teachers are separated the profs are separated according to these 4 categories. They make sure whoever who teaches a particular topic is from that same category or is doing research in that particular category. And so they know a lot. So if whatever doubts you throw at them, they'll be able to answer to you pretty quickly. And they are very open to you just knocking at their door and asking them doubts. Thirdly, all the labs are super fun. So you'll have aerodynamics labs where you'll be working with wind tunnels during every week. You'll have propulsion labs where you'll be burning rocket fuel and burning other stuff and measuring things. So all the lab courses are super fun. Report writings may not be that much fun, but lab courses, doing the laboratory stuff is super fun. So that's there. So I guess that's one of the huge things which I loved about Aero courses. Also, in your first year, you also have a flight dynamics course where you'll be sitting and playing a video game of flying a flight. So it's pretty fun. And then regarding your prospects after finishing your bachelor's or, your study at IITM. So me and a few of my other friends, we went on for higher studies. So what we did was we took courses, did all our Aero core courses, and then for the electives, we went ahead and took mostly the electives in which you want to do research in after. So for me, I wanted to do this research in a little physics related topic. So it's like a dynamical states related topic. So I made sure my courses, irrespective of which department they are from, is more focused on the topic I want to pursue my studies in. So I had taken courses in the physics department, applied mechanics department, a lot of different departments. And the department doesn't give you any restrictions on that. You can take your electives in any department you want. So I took all my courses such that the research which I want to do during my higher studies are going to be focused. So if you want to do higher studies in any particular topic, you would want to take your electives such that these particular the topics are covered in those courses. And then if you want to do my one of my friend, he did MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. So he took a lot of management courses from campus and a lot of other courses, not necessarily core courses per se, not related to aerospace or engines or anything. And after his bachelor's in IITM, he went to that university to study MBA. So, so yeah, these are the electives you would want to take for if you're planning on going for higher studies. Also, one thing you would want to do if you're planning on going to higher studies is go to a prof and tell them that you are planning on doing it and you would want to have some experience in research. So if you can just go to every prof is very friendly in Aero, so you can just directly go knock at their door and tell them, I want to do this. Can I work with you for a few, I don't know, for the next 1 year or a few months and see how research is. You have a chance to try out different things. Now, apart from higher studies, anyone who wishes to can go for placements. We have core placements and non-core placements. So core placements would mean that you are looking at companies which actually work in aero or or around aero related stuff. And non-core is completely different from aero, like banks or software companies or things like that. That's completely different. That's not core. So for aero department, when you compare it with other departments, the number of companies which come is slightly low. That's mostly because we don't have a lot of students in Aero who actually wants to sit for core placements. And the number of companies which comes completely depends on the placement coordinators you have uh, in your year when you are planning on uh, sitting for placements. So basically what I mean by that is, so every year there will be student coordinators who sit and call up all these companies and ask them to open for Aero. So all these companies which usually come for Aero are Airbus, Boeing, Honeywell, MathWorks, Agnicool. I, I think BrahMos came once. I think ISRO came once long back. So all these companies would come to campus for interviewing students, but the problem is they may not open to all departments. They would only open for, I don't know, a few departments, and your placement coordinator is the one who calls them up and asks them to open for Aero. So if you want a particular company or you have a particular company in your mind, you would probably want to call these placement coordinators up and ask them to open up for Aero. And if the company really doesn't want to take Aero students, they won't. So that is something which happened for ISRO in my batch, because the ISRO company didn't want Aero students and the placement coordinator didn't put that much effort to make sure they open up. So ISRO only recruited mechanical and electrical engineering students in my batch. So yeah, so the companies which come and the departments they are open to completely depends on the placement coordinator you have. It might be a good thing to poke them up and ask them to persuade the company to open up for any particular branch you want. Uh, Regarding non-core placements, I think it's most of the companies are open to all departments, so it's completely non-core, and anyone can probably just join that. There would be a huge number of students, so it will be a very competitive thing for non-core placements, and you would have around your third year or your fourth year, you would be given a lot of booklets which has information of the different courses which you would want to take for going for non-core placements, or the uh, different courses or different topics which you'll have to cover. So a lot of things would want you to look at linear algebra or a few probability sort of things. So those things are topics which are very much required for data analysts. So these topics are the things in which they ask questions from. So the placement office actually helps you a lot for all that. So both for core placements and non-core placements, but especially for non-core placements. They'll give you different books to read from, and they have booklets in which you have to read from to get these infos and stuff like that. So yeah, that sort of covers everything I prepared so far. I see I have a few questions in the chat, and I can probably just answer them one by one. I've heard that we can get into ISRO and Aero degree only if we are done it from IISc. Is that true? That's actually not true. If in IISc, I'm not really sure about IISc, but ISRO actually comes to, as I said before, ISRO comes to campus, but usually they ask only for mechie and electrical people, because the placement coordinator in Aero didn't really ask them to open up. If you persuade them quite a lot, they would open up, because the year in which I was the placement coordinator, and there was a few students in my batch who wanted to, in my batch as in who, a few students in the batch who was graduating the year when I was the placement coordinator, who wanted to sit for ISRO interviews. So I actually talked with the ISRO company's HR and made them open up for Aero as well. So it completely depends on how your placement coordinator talks with the ISRO people, and if he or she would be able to persuade them to open the company for Aero department as well. Is aerospace a tougher course as compared to chemical? Do we have enough time to pursue electives from other batches? Okay, as I said before, in aerospace, your second year would possibly be only core courses. I don't think you'll have any slots free for elective courses. But from your third year onwards, Aero will only give you like one course, which would most likely be a lab course. So you'll have more than enough time to pursue other courses in other departments. I cannot say about how tough an Aero course is compared to a chemical course, because I've not taken chemical core courses. But it actually depends a lot on your interest. I was really interested in taking aerospace courses. I really wanted to know how this whole flights work and things like that. So all my courses were, I wouldn't say easy, but were bearable, or where I didn't have to put in a lot of effort. I am someone who studies only the day before the exam, and I still got pretty good marks, even though I just did that. And as long as you more or less go to every class, you don't really need to put in a lot of uh, extra hours of work. That's something which I got to know in my later years. I usually just, if I had gone for every class, which happened, you don't have to put in a lot of outside class work. Like, you don't have to sit in your room and study for a long time for their courses. Whatever is taught in class is more than enough for you to get good grades in your exam, and you just have to listen to the classes properly. I think this is applicable for every other department, but I'm not sure. They might have homeworks and stuff. Yeah, that's one more thing which I like about Aero department. We don't have homeworks. We only have the normal quiz 1, quiz 2 and SEM, or midterm and then SEM. No homeworks or no other extra work you have to do in your during your this. Maybe just reports for labs, but apart from that, even those, they ask you to actually do it during the lab hours. So that's not anything you have to do after your classes. So that's one good thing about Aero, which I really like. The fact that you don't have to put in a lot of effort for each course. Nominal effort is good enough to get you good grades. And definitely in your third year, or even in your fourth year, I think I had, because I was a dual degree, I had 5 years. In my fourth year, I don't think I had any Aero courses, or every course was an elective for me. So you have more than enough time to take your electives. So, but when you choose your electives, make sure that all the electives are not very, it doesn't require you to spend a lot of time. Make sure you have ample time to go ahead and explore institute, and possibly just have a nice work life sort of balance. Have a good life as well, just not just class or just that sort of life. You want a proper balance between your extracurriculars and your actual academic thing. Uh, I saw that Aero department has a little bit of subjects of many departments. Example, materials, material science, mechanics and communication. So if you take another department and decide to do Aero for MTech, will I be missing out? Not really. So if you want to do Aero for MTech, they actually give you. Aero also has these courses which are introduction for each of these subjects for MTech students or graduate students. I'm not just talking about IIT Madras. I know IIT Madras has this. This is there in more or less every institute. If you're going for higher studies or graduate level studies in another department, they would definitely have an introduction level course so that you can pursue that during your masters or PhD, so that you'll get the course will get you through all the fundamentals required for that particular topic. So in aerospace, I know they have an introduction to aerospace course for both separate for undergraduates and another course for master students. So if you did your undergrad in some other topic and you want to do masters in aero, you'll probably want to take that course because that covers all fundamental stuff required for doing a masters in aero. Uh, if I want to go for software related placements, then what to prefer, aero, mech, or chem? So as I said, the right now whatever you choose is only gonna decide your core courses. If you want to go for software related placements, you can probably just take your electives such that your electives are related to this sort of programs. I think there is this analysis course in the BE department, another I think in ED there's another analysis course. So yeah, all these courses are different for different departments. So if you whichever you want to go, the department which you choose now is only gonna take care of that core courses. You don't want to flunk those core courses, or you don't want to get low scores in those core courses. And after the core courses, the electives are completely up to you. You can choose whichever electives you want. Okay, this thing is from the Aero department. I am not completely sure that every other department is gonna let you freely choose electives. Departments might have some restrictions about the electives. I'm not completely sure, but for Aero department, I know they don't have much restrictions. And you can probably also take some courses from the CS department. I had friends who actually did that, took mostly courses from the CS department. I think there is also an IDDD program where you can change your MTech. If you're a dual degree student, you can change your MTech subject using the IDDD program, integrated dual degree program, where you can choose. I had friends who went for robotics and did mostly courses in the mechanical engineering department, or another friend who went for software and data analysis, and she had a lot of courses in the computer science department. So your all electives can be decided by yourself, and you can probably take your electives such that you can reach your final goal at the end. Okay, next. How similar and different is aerospace in IIT Kharagpur as compared to IIT Madras when we see into opportunities? Uh, Kharagpur and IIT Madras, I'm not really well versed to answer this topic, just to put it there, because I've done it from IIT Madras and I'm not sure how IIT Kharagpur would be. But I hear that, compared to all the other IITs, IIT Kanpur has a very good aeronautical or aerospace engineering. I'm not sure which one they're providing this year program, because they have their own airstrip and it's pretty nice. You have a lot of labs on the airstrips and it would be pretty nice. Every other IITs, I think they have more or less similar uh, programs for or similar structure for the aerospace engineering part. You can probably check out the curriculum for each of these IITs and probably decide if you want to go for which IIT do you want to go to. So for me, when I remember when I applied for my different uh, priorities or my selection process, I had IIT Madras Aerospace as my first option, and then IIT Kanpur Aerospace as my second option, and IIT Kharagpur as my third. So I was totally into aerospace, so I made sure it was aerospace, and my options were IIT Madras, Kanpur, and Kharagpur because Madras was pretty much close to home, so I could just run home whenever I want. Kanpur, best, more or less the best place to do aerospace in. Kharagpur, the next, it's just Kharagpur, Bombay, and everything was just there. The order didn't really matter. Uh, Next one. What's the best way to balance GRE prep and college studies during the final year if you want to pursue an MS or PhD after a Btech? Okay, so GRE prep and probably TOEFL prep too. If you're planning on going for higher studies, I'm just giving an overview of the question itself, just because everyone may not be familiar with GRE and TOEFL. So if you're planning to go on for higher studies after your bachelor's or your dual degree program, you would have to, higher studies, especially outside to US or I guess Canada too, you'd have to give two exams. One is GRE and TOEFL. These scores are the ones which matter a lot for those universities you're going to apply to. I would say take your GRE during your vacation. So one thing you should know is you have two vacations. One is during the summer, the other is during the winter, both right after your semester exams. The summer vacation is actually 3 months, and the winter vacation is 1.5 to 2 months. So I took my GRE during the end of my summer vacation. So I got 3 months to study. I didn't have any courses then. I actually did start studying a few months before so that, I sort of put like half an hour every day to study for the GRE and then did my courses along with it. And during the summer, the department really doesn't have any courses for you. The department just completely lets you free. There are other departments in which you have to work during the summer as well. I think I'm not gonna judge other departments now, but there are other departments who wishes you to work during the summer. In aerospace, you are expected to do an intern during your second year summer, but apart from that, they do not expect you to work during the summer. So summer is completely free. You can probably go home, you can go for vacation, you can go for trips and things, whatever you want. So during my final year, one of my summers I completely devoted for GRE and TOEFL. So the courses did not really affect me a lot. And another thing is, you don't necessarily have to take, because during your final years it's only going to be electives, you don't necessarily have to take electives which are going to consume a lot of time. So during my so for your higher studies, you will be working during your second last semester. So during my second last semester, which was my ninth semester, I had two courses from the HS department. I had science fiction and short stories. So both of them were just reading stories. I made sure my course load during that semester is quite low so that I can focus on, applying or apping and applying for different universities, doing my GRE prep or things like that. So as I said before, you have a complete choice for choosing your electives. So if you want to focus on your placements or if you want to focus on your GRE prep or something like that, you can probably take one semester with just courses which doesn't require you to spend a lot of energy or doesn't require you to put in a lot of effort, so that it will be easy for you to focus on the other thing. All right, next question. Number of core courses and electives. It's actually not a number. So if you look at the curriculum, you can see that it is depends on your credits. So usually there are courses, the credits would, I'm not sure if it's a 9-12 credit system right now or a 2-3 credit system. Shiha, is it a 9-12 credit system or a 2-3 credit system right now? How are your course credits? Can the somebody? Okay. Anyway, so for me, it was the 9-12 credit system. So basically, courses will be either 9 credits or 12 credits, and there were lab courses which were 2-3 credits courses, there were 5 credit courses. So the department tells you to take some, I guess, some 56 elective credits. So this 56 elective credits, you can either take, I don't know, 5 credit lab courses and fill the 56 with 10 lab courses, or you can take, 9 credit courses, 12 credit courses, whichever courses. So typically, I guess I had around 5, 4, 3, and 5, about 20 elective courses. And in my second year, I had 5, 10, 15 core courses, or slightly more than 15, so about 18 core courses. This was my course load structure because I mostly took 12 credit courses for my elective, so that sort of covered most of it. So yeah, uh, and for any department, if you want to look at the number of courses and the electives, you can probably just search for the in the department website for the curriculum, and they would clearly specify it's this much core credits and this much non-core credits, and the non-core credits are for electives. So you can probably just take a look at the department course, the department curriculum website to see which all courses you have to take and if you would be interested in taking those courses, and which all how many electives you are allowed to take and stuff like that. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's quite elaborate in all the curriculums. So I've looked at Aero curriculum quite a lot during my years just to make sure I'm following the curriculum properly. So it's quite detailed and it's quite easy to understand the curriculums for every department, I guess. Uh, okay, next one. Would it be better to take mech or electrical instead of Aero Btech, and then take MTech Aero if we want to have a broader scope after Btech? Uh, It depends on the course load you want. I've heard that the electrical course load is quite a lot. Uh, and for mech, it's comparatively less, but there's a lot of lab work which has to be done, and probably some things during the summer. So, BTech, it really doesn't. Wait, let me just, one second, let me just read the question again. So you're planning on taking an BTech in mech or in electrical, and then an MTech in aero to get a broader scope after BTech. Okay, I'm hoping that that's after MTech, and if you're okay, that completely depends on what you want to do after your undergrad. If you want to do higher studies in aero, I would prefer taking only just aero stuff and going there. If you want to take higher studies in something else, make sure your electives are something else. If you are planning on placements, that too in the aerospace sector, if you have a particular company in mind, possibly taking something in mech and electrical and then coming to aero might be a good idea if you are having something properly in your mind. And you could probably just check their the placement office's info to see which all companies come and which all department it's open to. So yeah.
मैम, मैकेनिकल और एरोस्पेस में बेटर ऑप्शन क्या रहेगा मद्रास में?
Uh, Better option. Okay, I can't really talk about the better option because it completely depends on you. If you want to study in aerospace, I'm telling you, the core courses are completely related to aerospace. It's not going to be mechanical at all. It'll have all these aerodynamics, structures, and things like that, as I said before. So, those are going to be uh, the courses which you're going to take if you take the aero department. And if you're going to take mechanical, it's going to be completely different. You'll have courses for, I'm sure they have another session for mechanical engineering, so do refer to that because I'm not completely versed about it. But in mechanical, I know there's a lot of courses related to thermodynamics and things like that, acoustics, speakers, and stuff like that. I've taken all those courses in mechanical engineering. So it
Yeah, ma'am.
completely depends on your interest. If you want to, which course would you prefer learning? Because the electives, as I said, it's completely up to you. And if you prefer learning about, if you're forced to learn a subject, which one would you prefer? Because the core subjects are sort of like that. You want a degree, you have to take the course of core courses. They are going to force that on you. The rest of them, your electives are your choice. So if you are going to be comfortable being forced to learn mechanical engineering courses, go for mechanical engineering. But if you're comfortable, if they force you to learn aero courses, go for aerospace engineering, because whatever happens later in your life is completely decided by your elective courses. So if you are happy being in mechanical and you want to, if you later decide, okay, I want to sit for aero stuff, or I want to pursue aero after my uh, undergrad, go and take your electives in aero department. That's it. It's as simple as that. So right now, you just have to focus on your core courses. You're forced to take those courses. Make sure you take the courses, the departments, as that you can bear the courses they force you to take. Okay, I'll just go to the chat and see the next one. Okay, do not call me ma'am. I just I'm maybe like 4, 5 years elder than you. Uh, so no, ma'am. You can just call me Krishna. Anyway, what's the average placement of aerospace engineering in core companies? So, usually people who get placed in core companies, I'm not giving you an average, I'll just give you an estimate from my batch and some of the batches I know. Usually, Btech students, there would be like about 50 or 56 students who are in Btec Aerospace, and probably in that, only a few of them would actually want to sit for core placements. And it's a little low for Btec students to get placed in core companies. There's maybe like 1 or 2 students who get placed in the core companies if you're taking Btec in aerospace. But on the other hand, if you're taking dual degree, or you're doing an MTech in aerospace, you have a very high chance of getting in. So most of my batchmates who got in core companies are in dual degree programs. So I think from my batch so in my batch there was a complete of 16 dual degree students, of which 5 students shifted to the integrated program. As I said before, like one of them was in robotics, another one in biology, and there were students who went for non-aero topics. So I'm excluding them. So there's 11 students who was in the dual degree program, of which I guess 5 people got into core placements, and the others either didn't apply or just didn't apply to core courses or just wanted to focus on research. So it's sort of like 50% if you look at it, if you're looking at the number of DD students and who all got into the core companies. So yeah, MTech, more or less everyone opts for core companies, and they do take in a lot of MTechs too. So that's how the placement looks if you're an aero. I would suggest, if you're looking for core company placements, taking a dual degree program is much better. If you're not really sure about dual degree, you can take a Btech and you have option to change to dual degree. That is something which I did. I joined in as a Btech student in aerospace engineering, and after my third year, because I was interested in research and I really wanted to do research, I converted to the dual degree program and I stayed in the dual degree. So even in my batch, like half the dual degrees who graduated with me were people who converted from Btech to dual degree. So if you don't want to make a decision now, you can probably make it later. You can choose Btech right now and convert to dual degree later. Uh, I don't think a back conversion is not possible. You can't take dual degree and come back to Btech. Anyway, so for the next question, between IIT Bombay, Madras, Kanpur, and Kharagpur, which one should we opt for if we take Aero? Kanpur has an airstrip and a wind tunnel, so should I consider it over Bombay? Yeah, wind tunnel, I think it's there everywhere. Like every aerospace department would have a wind tunnel. So in IIT Madras, we are having about 6 or 7 wind tunnels. I think 2 of them which are actually so huge that I can actually stand inside the wind tunnel. And the other wind tunnels are small and where the students go and do experiments in. So you'll have 2 lab courses in your second year where you do experiments in wind tunnels. So I'm sure every IIT would have a wind tunnel if they're offering the aerospace engineering. Kanpur has an airstrip, so aerodynamical labs might be nice over there compared to ours because we don't have that sort of I don't know, experience maybe. So I would say you can put Kanpur before every other IITs because that would be nice, but everything else is sort of at the same level, so you can go ahead with anything else. If you're planning on higher studies, I would say IIT Madras is the best because we have a few professors at IIT Madras who are sort of IIT Madras Aero department who are famous worldwide. For example, the prof I worked with in my undergrad, he is known even to a lot of prof over here. So if you're planning on doing higher studies in Aero, I would suggest IIT Madras is the best way to go because most of the profs are world-class researchers in aerospace engineering compared to any other IITs in India. Okay, next. Where do students who opt for non-core electives generally go for internships? So during your second year end or third year, there is I think I don't remember the short form properly. There are non-core internships specific groups or association in IIT which would help you look at the different options you have or the different companies which you can apply to if you want to go for non-core. So you don't have to worry about those things right now because you have a lot of resources in IIT which would guide you completely. So you can go to IIT after you reach any IIT. I guess I'm not sure. If you're reaching IIT Madras, I can definitely tell you there's a lot of resources over there. We have, if you want to plan, if you are planning on higher studies, we have an office which takes you through the different process if you want to go for higher studies. We have the placement office which helps you if you want to go for core companies or non-core companies. We have an internship office which helps you to get internships in core and non-core companies. We have, I think, eCell which helps you get funding if you want to start a startup. So you have a lot of resources. Or if art is your thing, we have different clubs like thespian, choreo, different clubs, and you have a lot of resources. So you don't have to worry about your future after your bachelor's right now because there's a lot of resources in IIT which will help you and guide you completely throughout the way to get where you want to be. If you're sure where you want to be, they are more than happy to help you. They have a lot of money, they have a lot of resources to help you and guide you. And there are, as you know, you'll have a lot of seniors who actually took the path you want to take. So you can probably just get their phone numbers, contact them, and tell them, I want to do this. Could you just help me? Tell me what you did. So right now, I'm getting a lot of messages from a lot of students who are studying there, telling that, I want to get into MIT after. I'm currently a fourth year student. I'm planning on applying. I wanted to get into MIT. Could you help me with tell me what I should do? So people like your alumni or your seniors are happy, more than happy to help. So you have more than enough resources in campus. If that's not enough, you have a lot of seniors who have already done that. So you can just probably just text them and let them know that you want to talk with them, and they're happy to help. Okay, if I want to pursue aero without doing a Btech aero between engineering, physics, and mech, what should I prefer for Btech? Between engineering, physics, and mech, I personally would recommend mech because engineering physics is typically I'm not planning on judging anyone or anything like that. During my Btech, my years in IITM, engineering physics was considered to be a batch, which excuse me, which takes on all the workload like an electrical department. So most of all the courses are similar to the electrical engineering department, but does not necessarily get all the benefits of being in an electrical engineering department. So the course load would be quite a lot in engineering physics, given that you are looking at a lot of physics labs, physics courses, and a lot of electrical engineering sort of courses. But then when it comes to placements or things, the companies which are open to electrical engineering may not be open to you. So you put in all the effort just like an electrical engineering student, but ended up not getting placed like an electrical engineering student or getting the benefits which electrical engineering students would get. So engineering physics is not a batch which I would recommend personally. You can probably talk with someone who took engineering physics to get a better idea about it. How different is aero compared to mech? So just from common sense, we can see that aerospace is more specific or more of a narrower field than mechanical engineering. So in aerospace, as I said, it will be more related to airplanes or rockets or satellites. These are the three things, or a few flows and stuff, but these are the three main things which we'll be focusing on. But in mech, it's not like that. You'll have automobiles, you have robotics. The branch is more spread out, as you can see. So your courses will be more spread out. So in mech, the different courses which I have taken is very, very different from each other. We have communications courses. I have taken acoustic courses and about speakers and actuators and stuff like that. I have taken thermodynamics courses, which is completely different, and we have robotics courses, which is completely different. So in mechanical, your field is huge, and you can probably decide your courses, but the different courses, it might be hard to get a correlation between two courses which you're taking in the same semester. So in your second year, you might have two courses which are completely different. It might be hard to make a correlation between the two courses. But in aero department, because your courses are going to be specific to these things, you can say, okay, this in my second year, I'm having aerodynamics course. It looks like how the air is going past an airplane. The next course which I'm having is structures. It looks like how I can design this aeroplane as such. Another course which I'll have is propulsion. So that's basically about how the engine in an aeroplane works. So it will be in aerospace, it's easier to make a connection between every course you take. Every course which is offered in the department can be connected. I think, think I missed helicopters as well. So this helicopter was also in the picture. So every courses and every electives which is provided in the aero department can be connected very easily and very effectively. So you can probably, when you learn, whatever you learn from one course will have a lot of overlap in the other. So the amount of time you put will be reduced a lot. Uh, so yeah, and other things, I guess, aero and mech, more or less everything which is open to mech is everything which is open to aero. Regarding placements, I think half the companies are open to both aero and mech. There are half companies who are open only for aero. There are another half which are only open for mech. For example, if you are having a robotics company, why would you open for aero? Because aero is not at all related to that. So, there are distinctions like that as well. But regarding the courses, this is how it's gonna be. Uh, I'm interested in aeronautical side, not the aeronautical side. Should I still go for aerospace engineering? Okay. Uh, okay. For this question, I'll just give you how aerospace and aeronautical are different. Aeronautical is just going to be looking at whatever is happening below your atmosphere or whatever happens in the nautical speed. Aerospace will also include the aeronautical side along with the rockets and things which satellites, everything which happens in outer space. So if you're interested in aeronautical side but not in aerospace, not at all in aerospace, maybe aerospace is not a good way to go. But if you're okay with taking maybe like 2 or 3 courses in the space as well, because I think there's a course called Propulsion 2, which is a core course which deals with rockets and satellites. I think maybe one more lab course which deals with rockets. Apart from that, there's no other core courses or compulsory courses which is only aerospace related and not aeronautical related. So I guess if you're okay taking like 2 or 3 courses which are aerospace related, you should be okay with going for aerospace and not just aeronautical, because most of the topics covered in aerospace is or can be applied to aeronautical as well, and it's mostly taught in an aeronautical sense too, apart from these 2 to 3 core courses on the rockets and space and stuff.
Ma'am, I think you misunderstood me. I'm more interested towards rockets and satellites rather than aeroplanes.
Okay. So aerospace is sort of like the perfect thing you should go to than aeronautical. Uh, you would have the core courses, you would have, as I said, the initial core courses would have parts with both aeronautical and aerospace, but because it's easier for students to visualize an aeroplane easily, they talk in terms of aeroplanes, but not necessarily in terms of rockets. But there are 3 core courses which is on rockets and satellites, but later on there are a lot of electives on rockets and satellites. There's satellites dynamics and rocket propulsion, there's combustion instability, there's a lot of courses. Like IIT Madras is very famous for research in rocket industry. There's a lot of, we even have a DRDO space called NCCRD in campus, which also has a drop tower. I'm really hoping they have a lab course which involves the drop tower. So drop tower is where you can experience zero gravity. So it's quite awesome. So yeah, so you have a lot of opportunities if you are going for aerospace uh, electives or as research in IIT Madras. Uh, is that good, or do you want me to answer something more specific?
No, ma'am, thanks. I'm now 100% sure that I'll take IIT Madras Aerospace. Thank you.
All right. Next one. If we are in a non-circuital branch and want to work in software, does it matter which non-circuital branch we should choose, or we should go with our preferred IIT? Uh, you would want to go with your preferred IIT. I think that is, if you're completely going for a non-core thing, it really doesn't matter which branch you're in, because non-core companies or software companies are mostly open to all branches. So you would want to go to a particular, you would want to select your IIT such that there are a lot of companies which come. So if you look at like top five IIT Madras, Kharagpur, Kanpur, Mumbai, and Delhi, there would be much more companies which comes for placements than if you look at the other IITs. So I would say, if you're planning on going for a software job, make sure you're going to an IIT which has a lot of, what do you say, companies who come to recruit you. So yeah, I would say you should go ahead with your IIT, because the branch really doesn't matter if you're going for non-core companies. Okay, again with the ma'am. How did you continue your PhD in MIT? Are you asked to maintain a good CGP, and what else they expect from you? Okay, I didn't continue my PhD. I'm not. Okay, so basically, I finished my dual degree from IIT Madras. I applied for a few universities for my PhD. So I applied to MIT. I applied to New York University. I applied to quite a lot of universities, Stanford and a few other universities. Uh, During the application process, they look at a few things. One is my CGPA during my IIT years, so my 5-year CGPA. How, if I'm having any research, because I'm doing a PhD would mean that I'll have to do a lot of research. If I already have a research experience, it's well and good, right? So they looked at if I was having any research experience in campus. So more than my CGPA, what mattered was my research experience, because I already had 6 papers published, and that's a huge deal for an undergraduate students. Usually undergrad students doesn't even publish papers, and I had 6 papers published in pretty good journals. I had a few conferences. I also had a national award for best innovative thesis in my in your undergrad years. So that was a huge deal than any of the other characters and any other thing like CGP or anything for me to get into an MIT. uh, I did. I'm not saying my CGPA is very bad, but CGPA is a nominal nice level of CGPA. Maybe about 8.5 is a pretty good level. Uh, a good score in GRE and TOEFL. These are the 2 exams you'll be taking if you are planning on going for higher studies. So a very good score in these 2 exams. Next would be a pretty nice CV. Your resume or your CV matters a lot. You would want to have, uh, what do you say, like your courses. You would want to take nice courses. You would want to put your publications in there. You would want to put, if you went for conferences and stuff, all these things would, your CV should be shining. CV should show how good you are. And then a few professors who would want to give you some references. So that's one thing which you would really want if you're planning to apply for higher studies. You would want to have good connections with your professors so that they can write a reference letter for you, because any universities abroad would want at least 2 or 3 reference letters from professors from your college. So I was pretty, I was the class representative for my batch. And so I was having a pretty good connection with more or less every professor in my batch. So I could just go and ask them, can you, sir, if you've known me for the last 4 years, could you just give me a reference letter? And they would just say yes, because they know, if you're an undergraduate student, it's not like you'll know a lot of profs who can give you the reference letter. So they would definitely say yes. So make sure you have a good interaction with all these professors so that you can get good reference letters from them. That's sort of all the things which any university outside or in US expects you to have. Everything else is just filling up, your details, my name, my birthday, stuff like that. These four things: a good CV, a good CGPA, good score in GRE, TOEFL, and finally good reference letters. These four things are the key things to get into any university abroad. Okay. How are internship opportunities during Btech course? So, okay, depends on what kind of internships you want. There are mainly three sort of internships. One is a research internship. Those are the kind of internships I did. You can go to universities and probably just do some research there. So I did. So there are lots of opportunities which come to you in the aero department. One would be you can yourself apply to internships in any national university like CSIR, which is right next to IIT campus, or IAST or ISRO or anywhere. You can do research internships there. Aero department gives you internships in two aero core companies, which are NAL and HAL, National Aeronautic Limited and Hindustan Aeronautic Limited. So these two companies and maybe some other companies. So the aero departments would give you core internships in these. So this is a requirement. You need one summer internship in an aero core company. You can, I have friends who went to Purdue after their second year to have a 3-month internship. There are people who went to Germany with a DART scholarship or to France with the Charpak scholarship. So these two scholarships are given to students who have a prof who they want to work in Germany or France, and they'll just pay you the money to go and do your research over there. So this is for the research internship, and HAL, NAL, and ISRO and stuff for core internships. And non-core internships, as I said, there is an internship office which gives you a list of all the companies which are available for non-core internships, and you can probably choose from those companies. Okay. Should we go to the top NIT, CSE, or IIT Madras core branch despite my interest? Okay. NIT, CSE, or IIT Madras coursework. I would really say it would be nice to go depending on your interest, but make sure you look at the possibilities you can get after being there. So I know if you're going to IIT Madras or any top-notch IIT, even if your branch is not as good, you might be able to, your options are quite huge because there's a lot of companies comes for placement, a lot of extracurricular opportunities are there. But in NITs, whichever NIT you choose, make sure the NIT is the university itself is open to a lot of companies. So whichever university you choose, make sure the university doesn't limit your possibilities after your undergrad. It shouldn't be like, you chose an NIT which only has 2 companies which come. Then it's like, because of the universities, your options are limited. You don't want that happening. So whatever you choose, make sure you choose things which doesn't restrict your opportunities. You should have, right now you can't, it's not, what do you say? It's not right to expect you to already have decided, what you want later after 4 years. Because you just finished your 12th and possibly just maybe, 1 year after your 12th, you can't already have decided what you want to do later. And so right now, if you're choosing something, it might be just to look if the university is going to have options for you once you have decided. So in your 3rd year, once you have decided, you should make sure that university you are in has options or, have opportunities as that you can pursue what you decided in. If that university doesn't have the opportunity, it's you're doomed. So you're not completely doomed. You can go independently and do stuff, but make sure whichever university you choose can or has the possibility of giving you opportunities when you require them or when you make that decision later in your life. Uh, which one I can prefer, Madras Chemical or KGP Mech? Uh, I would suggest just look at their curriculum. Search IIT Madras Chemical Curriculum. You can see the list of courses, how your course load or workload will be, how many electives they're going to let you take. Search Kharagpur Mechanical Curriculum, look at the course load and things like that, and uh, probably decide according to that. The thing is, I've done Madras Aerospace, and I know about a few departments and how they are in Madras. I am not really that of an expert to comment about how Kharagpur Mechanical or Madras Chemical would look like, because I personally don't have any experience in that. So it's better that you do your research yourself than taking my word for it. Or, probably there might be some other speaker who did chemical in Madras or mechanical in Kharagpur and would like to speak, maybe. So probably take their word than my words, because I do not have experience in taking mechanical engineering in Kharagpur. So may not be the perfect person to answer that. How to pursue aerospace in MS if a person is from a non-core branch? Okay, by non-core, I'm really hoping that you are still an engineer in, at least an engineer. If you are a doctor and if you want an MS in aerospace, that would be very hard. But if you are from a branch which is not aerospace and you want to pursue an MS in aerospace, I don't think it's going to be that hard, because you can probably take your core courses in the particular department which you are in, and then your elective courses you can probably take in the aero department. And when they are looking at your MS application, as I said, you'll have to give your resume or your CV. Make sure you highlight the aero courses which you took. So when they look at your CV, they can see that you have actually taken these aero courses. And one more thing is that you don't if you're planning on going for higher studies or planning on doing research, and you are from say mechanical engineering department, but you want to do research in aerospace, actually IIT Madras lets you do that. You can probably choose your advisor in an aerospace department, and so you'll have research actually done in aerospace department. I actually have a junior of mine in the mechanical engineering department, but she is doing her research with my prof who's in aerospace engineering. So if you're planning on working in aerospace next after your bachelor's, you can probably take a few electives in the aerospace department, do some research with an aerospace engineering prof, so that when the application people in the other universities take a look at your CV, they'll see that you have done these aerospace courses and you have research or you have done projects related to the aerospace field, even though your actual department is not aero, it can be anything else. So if you have these in your CV, you can definitely go for an MS in aerospace, even if you're not from an aerospace background. Okay, Akka, that's a nice thing. On an average, how many students get decent jobs in IT sector despite being in other branches? Okay. Being blunt, in IIT Madras, most companies which come for placements are non-core. Non-core as in completely non-core. There are banks, there is, I don't know, all completely non-core. It's not many companies are core. I'm taking a look at all departments. I'm taking all departments into consideration. If you look at the core companies which come for all these departments, they are much less than the non-core companies which come. But even the non-core companies, they look even though the jobs which they open to might be non-core, but they're still from an IT sector. So things like I don't know, Goldman Sachs or everything else, the profiles they would open to would be might not be completely, IT related, but the company is still IT related. There could be a scenario like that. So I would say getting a job in the IT sector is quite, the likeliness is quite high, but the fact that you would actually be working on IT may not be that high. And for that, I don't think it really matters which branch you're in. It mostly matters how well you do in the exams which they conduct during placements, and how well you do uh, your interviews with those people when they come. So yeah, so just to clarify on that, for your placements, before your placements, you will have some pre-placement exams where you'll be given those will happen at night. So you'll be given like 1 hour, 1, 2, 3 hours. You'll be writing exams, and they'll shortlist candidates for interviews using the exams or some discussions they have with you guys. And then during the first week of December is the placement season. I'm really hoping it is like that even now. 2 years back it was like that. So the first week of December, all these companies would come and they'll take interview of those shortlisted people. So if you do well in the exam and during the interview, getting into an IT sector is quite easy. Is it expensive for higher studies abroad? That completely depends on the type of studies you want to do. So for me, I'm doing a PhD. So right now, I'm completely funded by the department. I do not have to put in any money from my pocket. The department gives me the money. So department sort of pays rent for my place. It pays the tuition. It gives me stipend every month, so that I can probably buy groceries and cook or go have food from outside or anything. So it's completely funded by the department, but the application process is slightly expensive. So applying to a particular university, there will be some cost for the application. Writing GRE and TOEFL cost about $100 each. So writing one exam of GRE is about $100, TOEFL another $100. Application fees would vary from being completely free, $5, $10 to $100. So you should make sure, when you're applying, the number of universities and, the different exams you have to take fits in your budget. That is the only time when you will have to actually spend a lot of money. That is the most expensive part, the application process. After the application, if you're in a PhD program, the department or the university will completely fund you. You don't have to worry about your funds after you reach here. The second thing is, if you're doing an MS, the department may not fund you in case you don't have a research assistantship or a TA-ship, teaching assistantship. So you might want to look at off-campus works or part-time jobs to fund your things. I have actually friends who became a chef, or took a part-time job as a chef too, and they actually liked it, to cover the expenses. So yeah, it's not expensive to actually study abroad per se, but most of your money or your parents' money goes when you're applying during the application process. Okay. Chechi, can you please say the benefits of taking Aero in IIT Madras over IIT Bombay? Okay, benefits of Aero in IIT Madras, as I said, the profs are awesome. The professors are sort of famous worldwide, more than professors at IIT Bombay. The research in IIT Madras is quite huge. We have a direct tie-up with the DRDO and ISRO people. We have direct tie-up with research with those people. Also in aerospace, there is a prof named SRC, SR Chakravarti. He is also very, very famous. Also, he has a lot of startups in which, undergraduates can work and probably earn some money during their undergraduate years. So we have a lot of opportunities for Aero core stuff if you take IIT Madras, which may not be available in IIT Bombay or any other IITs. If you are planning on going for research, IIT Madras Aerospace is the best place to go to. But if your interest is something else, I cannot completely say IIT Madras is your best choice. But if you're planning on being in IT, being in the aerospace sector for a little longer, or you are actually very interested in aerospace, I'd say IIT Madras is one of your best choices. I think that's the last question I got. And it's quite past 1 hour. So if there is nothing else, I can probably just...
Yeah. So guys, if you have any questions, you can ask quickly, or else we can wrap up soon. Seems like we are not having any more questions. Thank you, Krishna, for this wonderful session.
Oh, my pleasure. Always happy to help. And I'm really hoping it was useful for all of you.